No idea what that noise was. Hello, welcome back to 1874. It's time for a match reaction show full time as Villa fell to a Champions League deficit defeat last night against PSG, going out 5-4 on aggregate. So close. Feel a range of emotions around the game. I think I feel proud. I feel like just it was such an exciting game. Such a good game of football at Villa Park. I feel a little bit heartbroken because obviously we were so close. But there's a range of emotions that we can talk through, and I'm going to talk through that with the Athletics Aston Villa reporter Jacob Tanswell in a moment. Just a quick word for our sponsor, Match Bingo. I'm going to flash the QR code up on the screen now, but if you do head to 1874.io/matchbingo, you can have a chance to win some money by playing bingo through every Aston Villa game. I didn't win again last night. I was very close actually to winning that £250 jackpot. So do go and check out Match Bingo, and we'll talk more about them in the preview for the Newcastle game coming up. As I just mentioned, I am joined by the Athletics Jacob Tanswell, and my God, Jacob, what a night! Since you have started covering this football team, geez, there has been some football.
There has been. It was what a night. It was incredible, wasn't it? That second half, the adrenaline that I felt. So I can only imagine what you and Aston Villa supporters did. It was brilliant. And if you're going to leave a competition and go out at a quarter final of the Champions League, this is how you go out.
Yeah.
Right? Villa weren't passive. They didn't just roll over. Even when they went a couple of goals down, you could think, and you could make an argument to say, listen, we'll just try and shop and avoid a big humiliating defeat. But Villa were just so brave, and if you don't watch Emery's teams closely, you probably get the perception, and probably the outside perception is that Emery's quite pragmatic, and in some cases he can be, but mostly when he has a team that he really believes in and backs, he thinks they can go toe to toe and beat any team. And they took huge risks last night. They ultimately were exploited for the first two goals, but then you saw what they can do and how great they can be. In those 15 minutes when McGinn started it, was probably the best I've seen for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've come on the show this morning. I'm not sure how I'm even going to formulate my thoughts. Obviously, back late last night, go to bed, wake up this morning, and now we're doing a show talking about the game. I've seen the 3-minute highlights. I haven't seen anything else yet. I haven't had time to go through and watch it. But I think, like you've said, talk about the adrenaline and the emotion. I actually felt ill this morning. My head hurts. My eyes hurt. I felt a little bit sick when I woke up, and it's just, I think, that's how they put you through the mill. That's not what I mean at all, because they have given me so much to be proud of and so much to get behind. Like last night, probably one of the proudest I think I've ever been to be a Villa fan, just watching them play last night, seeing players like McGinn and Conser score, players that have been with the club for a long time and have grown with the club. I think it's really unique what this team and what Unai Emery has done. I think there's just so much to be proud of last night, Jacob. But ultimately, look, it is defeat, and we're probably all a little bit gutted about that. But I think you're right, because there's ways to exit a tournament and there's ways to kind of lose two-legged ties, and that's probably the way to do it, isn't it? As kind of hurtful as it is in the end, being so close and having it within your grasp, and the fact that you mentioned that 15-minute period in the second half. There's a long way to go, and Villa were in a really good position, just needing that one goal to level it, and it just probably after that 15 minutes, it never quite got going again to that level, other than the Asensio chance. God, what a club, what a team, what a manager. That I do just feel genuinely proud.
Yeah, definitely. And my piece this morning on the Athletic was that 9 years ago to the very day Villa were relegated, and Marcus Rashford was the guy that scored the goal at Old Trafford. And if you remember those scenes 9 years ago, the banners being unfurled in the away end at full time, about Randy Lerner, about 4 managers, 3 wins, a measly points total. And you see the transformation of Villa, and it's not been overnight, right? It's not like Villa went down 9 years ago and then suddenly just lifted themselves back. There was a lot more turmoil to go through. So the fact that you and so many people have been there and endured and suffered those seasons, and now see this where Villa can somehow almost overturn a 5-1 deficit to PSG and be unhappy that they you might rue missed chances in the second half. It just shows how far the football side of the club has come, and how well and how elite they are. The second half it felt like either team could attack it and score at any point, really. The midfields were being played through because PSG just only know one way of playing, and at some point it may catch up on them. A lot of other teams would probably be a little bit more pragmatic, and it's funny, the PSG were forced to be pragmatic, by the time Konsa scored, because they were so stunned and dazed they didn't know what to do. Donnarumma was time wasting, he was kicking long, he was farting about, really. And you thought, okay, Villa are going to get another chance and a big chance, and they'll score because Tillemans had that header, Asensio, the Konsa and the missed header.
Oh God, yeah, so close.
There was about that 10 minutes, Villa could have scored as many as they liked, and you thought, okay, there's still half an hour to go.
Yeah.
But PSG did regather themselves. Villa lost that momentum in their way. McGinn and Rashford's substitutions didn't help either, which I'm sure we'll come on to. But at the same time, the fact that Villa didn't even just down tools, and at half time the players still had belief. And supporters, I found in the stadium, they would always had belief as well. It shows how incredible this current Emery era is.
I think at half time, I'd resign myself to the fact that we were probably going out here. I didn't see us being able to do what we did in the second half. Lee, who sits next to me, Lee Haynes, was saying to me that, and I still think they can do it. And I was like, no, I just can't see it. I think PSG are too good. Whatever Unai Emery did at half time or said at half time, the way they came out of the traps in that 15 minutes in the second half, and I think individual brilliance, I think was key. I think John McGinn, to do what he did, kind of scurry through the whole length of the pitch to get that goal. I know he took a slight deflection, but it's a clever finish. I'm so pleased for John McGinn again, as I said earlier, someone that's grown with the club, that's been there through an awful lot, gone through an awful lot with this club, and himself as well as an Aston Villa player. People who say he's not good enough, Villa need to shift him to move on. Across the two legs, he was Villa's best player. And I absolutely love that. And I think that completely ends any kind of dialogue around whether McGinn should be part of this Villa team, because big games, he'll get picked. Villa had a cup final tomorrow. He's picked. John McGinn will get picked 100%, and rightly so. I thought across the two legs, he was absolutely fantastic. So his kind of brilliance, it felt like that gave everyone a little bit of a shot in the arm, and then gave everyone a little bit of belief. And then Marcus Rashford in the second half, suddenly he was electric. Yeah. Like, just every time he got the ball, the pace, the power, the trickery, the skills, everything that you want from a forward player. I thought he was absolutely frightening. And we talked about PSG's front three and how scary they are. They were very, very frightened of Marcus Rashford in that period in the second half, because he was absolutely unplayable, Jacob.
He was, but I think in a way that spell kind of has epitomised his career at Villa so far, in terms of he wasn't great in the first half, partly at fault for the goal. The first goal, in terms of he gave the ball away quite cheaply, 1v1, to show a lack of imagination. His all-round game still not great, but then he can have this spell, these moments, and he had that in that 15 minutes where he seemed to just ride the wave of what John McGinn started, and how the crowd just lifted, and he just looked, like you say, a player with pace, with power, and why frustratingly everyone just keeps yearning for this player to come out, and we see it in fits and spurts, but we don't see it overall. And we saw that promise from Rashford. The cases, great, he shows these moments, but he needs to do it for a sustained period. But like you say, we saw how good his quality is, and as for John McGinn, I think Rashford was good for 15 minutes, but John McGinn was incredible for two legs. I think for me, he symbolises everything about Aston Villa. When I think of Aston Villa, I think of what the squad and Emery stands for. It's for McGinn. He epitomises Emery's constant desire for players to improve, to test themselves, to be ultra professional. If Rashford wants to take any pointers in terms of how to forge a career where you get better in your later 20s, John McGinn is the example to follow, because he just keeps on going. I think he beats off every competition. If you're playing, like you say, a big game against PSG or Wembley, he's the first name on the team sheet, in my opinion, because he just does something that no one else can do, in terms of he can lift a team through his actions, through his leadership. And for me, that was my favourite John McGinn performance. Maybe my favourite Villa individual performance since I started covering the club. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. The way he would rattle PSG players every now and then. There'd be a lull in the atmosphere, and then he'd just go through a player. That foul, I can't remember the play he made on, but he was like 2 weeks late, and he got the yellow card.
It came. I know, was it Kvaratskhelia?
Yeah, but I just thought that's the way he rattles. And Hakimi, he rattles as well. Maybe could have got a penalty and Hakimi might have been sent off had studs been higher or whatever. I just think he's a player that's absolutely fantastic, and Emery loves him. They love each other. They also hate each other at times, but yeah, like you say, over 2 legs, he was Villa's best player by far.
I think that's David Stiles has just said here, captain, leader, backside. Someone needs to make a banner of that. That'd be an unbelievable flag/banner at Villa Park, wouldn't it? Or maybe a tifo next season in the Champions League. Tifo of John McGinn, captain, leader, backside. I quite like that, because I mean, this is a bit of a mishmash of a show. In all honesty, there's no structure to it whatsoever. I don't think people will mind. I don't think that there should be. I think we'll just talk about things as they pop into our head. A lot of people talking about the Rashford sub has been a changing point of the game. I did think he was starting to tire. I was watching him press just before he went off, and he couldn't do it anymore. I thought he'd put so much into the start of that second half. I thought he was, and he pressed a lot in the first half. In fairness to him as well, I thought he worked really, really hard. I actually thought McGinn going off was probably a little bit of a turning point as well. When I saw the 2 subs ready to come on, it was Ramsey and Asensio. I knew Onana would be one. I thought he might pull Kamara potentially and move McGinn back into central midfield just to keep him on the pitch. So I'm not in a position to question who I am, and that isn't what I'm doing. I'm just giving my opinion. I actually think McGinn going off was more critical than Rashford going off.
Yeah, because also you've seen a lot over 2 legs that McGinn receives the ball under pressure, and he's had really good success in terms of beating the PSG's midfield.
They didn't know what to do with him, did they? They never faced a player like John McGinn. It's like you can face players who, at Rashford, they might have faced a quick, tricky, direct player before, and it's still hard to deal with. But, you faced a player like that. There isn't another footballer like John McGinn.
No, and he just kept his backside in against these players that are probably less physical than him, and he just kept creating these chances where Villa were just driving at PSG's backline, which was increasingly isolated because they didn't have their fullbacks. Their fullbacks were so high and scarce in different areas. So I would have kept McGinn on it. I think he would have ran until tomorrow. He might have looked shattered at times, but he would have just carried on, and that intensity. He was attuned to the pace of it, wasn't he? He felt like he was in like the zone almost, where if you're a player coming on, be it Jacob Ramsey or Asensio, you're coming in from the cold. Really, you've got to somehow adapt straight away into that cauldron, into that intensity under that pressure. So it's difficult. I can understand the substitutions, but at that point, McGinn, I felt, was the guy that would still carry on, would still keep rattling, keep driving in PSG's defence, where, like you say, I think Rashford had this for a good 15 minutes, but then again went off the boil. And yeah, that's probably the biggest issue with Rashford at the moment. But although you might have been able to keep him, maybe you could have said bring him and Watkins on together, the way that Emery keeps talking about. I think McGinn was the bigger problem in going off.
Yeah, I don't really want. We should probably go back to the start of the game. I don't want to dwell on it really. I was a little bit surprised team selection wise. I wasn't expecting Onana, and I'm going to be honest, I was expecting Watkins over Rashford. A lot of people were tweeting me at half time. Obviously, we're 2-1 down at this point in that second leg at that game at Villa Park, and saying Emery got the team wrong. He should have done this. He should have done that. I mean, it's easy to say with hindsight, but obviously that was incorrect because obviously second half we probably started how we would have liked the first half to start, but we actually did start the first half quite well. We did go at them, didn't we? Press in and trying to come forward. Unfortunately, PSG, I've mentioned it before, did not have their shooting boots on at all across either leg really against Liverpool. Even the goal they scored was quite scrappy, but against Villa, just absolutely sensational finishing, did have their shooting boots on, and we kind of just found ourselves 2-0 down, having them only really had 2 attacks and 2 shots. The first goal was a bit of a mess. I think Powell gets in Emmy's way a little bit, and Emmy ends up spilling it. The second one, so another breakdown kind of in possession for Villa, and they end up getting turned over, and PSG score, saying that it's an absolutely unreal finish from Nuno Mendes, who's suddenly become a goal scoring left back against Villa across the 2 legs. So we found ourselves 2-0 down. At this point, you're kind of thinking, this could be any score here. I was thinking at that point, they could score 4 or 5 here. I still thought we'd score, but I was thinking they could score 4 or 5 here. How disappointed will Emery be with the fact that they just managed to hit those 2 goals so early and so clinically?
Yeah, I think he would have been disappointed because he would have seen that coming, really, because he would have known, and he would have had for Villa to press higher, to be more aggressive. But in doing so, they would have left inevitably a lot of space on transition. That's probably one of the reasons why Onana started, right? Because you wanted that forward midfield, similar to what they did last year against Man City and Arsenal. To obviously overload in possession PSG's technical but quite small midfield 3. But at the same time, you can have an extra player in rest defence, which obviously that means the players positioning when they have the ball and to guard against counter-attacking spaces. So by having Onana next to Kamara and Tielemans a bit further forward, you could have those two players that could just sit and potentially snuff out nascent counter-attacks. But it was quite disappointing that in both occasions Villa had promising opportunities turned back on them. So the first one obviously was Rashford 1v1, got tackled. Second one was Onana goes to press high, locks on, leaves the space, almost wins the ball, doesn't, and then Villa then punish through the space he leaves. So they're very disappointing. But if you are going to defend and take that amount of risk, you have to be prepared to be in situations where Villa's defence are in a back 3v3, and you need your goalkeeper to be really sharp in terms of coming off his line. Martinez did come off his line, anticipated the cross, but he had to be better with his handling, and that was just a blow. And I think lesser teams would probably have folded. They would have probably not had the players that would have thought, okay, we're losing now 5-1 an aggregate. Why are we still pressing? This is getting a bit humiliating now, a bit embarrassing. Let's just keep our shape. But they believed in their manager's instruction to keep going, to keep doing what they did, to get even braver, if anything. And I think that shows a real, good mentality to keep going and not be perturbed by, early setbacks in the game plan.
Yeah, it was quite fitting for Tielemans to get Villa back in the game, wasn't it, as well? If ever there was a player that does take responsibility, takes risks, what a season.
48 appearances this season out of 50.
I mean, he plays 90 minutes most weeks as well, so he must be absolutely blowing at this point. Youri Tielemans obviously came off right at the end last night for Ross Barkley, but it's him who got us back into the game with a heavily deflected shot. But, you don't shoot, you don't score, and I don't feel Villa get enough goals like that are quite fortunate. I feel if Villa score a goal, it has to be a really good goal quite a lot of weeks. But he had the shot, he deflected, it's his goal, went in. Kind of put, even then I'm thinking, he's a long way back here still. We're 5-1 down, we're 5-1, no. What's the score at the time?
5-2.
5-2 down at the time. It's still a long way back, isn't it? But just a word for Tielemans, who, he's just such a fantastic player, and he's undoubtedly Aston Villa's player of the season. Probably by quite a distance as well, which is, says a lot considering how many good players Villa have got.
Definitely, and I really like Youri Tielemans, not only because he's a fantastic player, but also he really enjoyed my article I did on him last week.
Did he?
Yeah, so
such as a...
Yeah, maybe he's taken a few pointers from me. Maybe I should have credit for him playing in number 10 position yesterday. But I'm only joking. But in terms of being
did you point him towards the podcast?
I didn't. But maybe in the summer when he's off and he's putting his feet up, he can join in. Maybe, who knows?
Oh yeah, that'll get accepted by Villa for absolute certainty, Jacob.
But for Youri Tielemans, for a guy that left Leicester, obviously very highly rated when it was coming through the ranks at Anderlecht, for example. And at Leicester, he started, obviously scored that big goal in the FA Cup, but he left really under a little bit of a cloud. Obviously, Leicester got relegated, but he was a player that stopped playing in the number 6 position, went further forward because they felt that he couldn't track anymore. His recovery runs were poor. He was
phenomenal.
But his fitness wasn't great. His athleticism was poor in terms of tracking players. There was concerns that he didn't look after himself the best in preparation. He was never the most athletic. And now he's just completely revamped, transformed. He's just the most important player Villa have got in terms of the build-up in possession. And you saw that pass he delivered for Watkins against Southampton. You see his goal. You see how he can play basically anywhere in midfield, even as a second forward. I think he's a fantastic player. And, maybe whisper it quietly, I think Villa have was hugely upgraded on Douglas Luiz in that position already.
Yeah, I agree. And if those watching on YouTube, I made a sensational choice on my shirts at the start of the season, with the home and away. McGinn and Tielemans picked that out before a ball was kicked, I think. So you're trying to give yourself credit for Youri Tielemans' whole performance. I'm just giving myself credit for buying the football shirt, basically.
Do you know what? It's a really good shirt. I'm actually thinking of getting my Nam one because
a Tielemans shirt.
No, and
your Tielemans.
Oh God! It's only because she's basically become a Villa fan. Like, she was watching the Southampton game. Bearing in mind they had a season ticket when they were grounded for 50 years. She was actually cheering Southampton on. Villa on. She's got a scarf. She's got 2 scarves now. She's got a Villa mug. Her favourite player is Ollie Watkins, but obviously he might not be there in the next season. So I'm thinking, who do I get for her now? So any ideas would be.
I've just given you the perfect idea. Tielemans on the back.
That's a bit too punny, though, isn't it?
I know. I'm trying to think of another. John McGran. I don't know. That's just off the top
That is good.
off the top of my head. I can't think of anything else. I think I'll retire from comedy after those two. It's great that we've turned another member of the Tanswell family round. We've turned you around. You're 100% a Villa fan now. And, we've got your nan on board as well. This is great. We're recruiting fans left, right. Bit glory hunty, I will say, from the Tanswell family.
I do agree, but it was quite funny how they were watching the game. Obviously, Aston Villa, and she let out a little bit of a cheer when Watkins scored, and I think that didn't go down very well with other members of the family. But yeah, I got the white scarves yesterday. I nicked one from one seat before the game, so I'll give her that.
You can't just admit to stealing scarf, Jacob.
Well, they were there, weren't they?
You don't get one on your seat anyway.
All I say is the scarf I did nick was from a PSG journalist, so I didn't nick any from fans.
Okay, fine. You've covered yourself there. Just you were about to get absolutely slighted in the comments.
Peter Graham put
oh, fantastic, Peter Graham. That is unbelievable. I wish I'd thought of that. Oh, Nana. That is, that's an obvious one as well. Didn't occur. So there's probably loads that you can No, let's not do it. Let's move away from this. We've just played one of the best games of football at Villa Park that there's ever been. The fact that we actually, won the game. Unai Emery did say as well, Jacob, we will win the game. We will win at Villa Park. And I did say giving himself a bit of wiggle room because that didn't necessarily mean that we'd go through. But he was right.
Yeah, he was. And Morgan Rogers said as well, if any team's going to do it, it's going to be us. Villa are just a completely different beast, aren't they, at home? Obviously, only lost once in league, and that was back in August against Arsenal, and that was probably one of Villa's best performances, actually, at home and in the early part of the season. And when a crowd gets up, when Villa, kick towards the north stand or the whole end, it just feels like a lot of teams will do very well to repel that, really. Even when Villa are kind of struggling, I do notice that the optimism in the atmosphere seems to be there a lot. Sometimes the atmosphere is flat, but it never feels negative this season. And it's because of the great memories that Emery's teams have given them over the last couple of years. So Villa Park under the lights, a Champions League night is very special, isn't it? And I'm sure there'll be more of those evenings to come in a few years.
Yeah, the crowd were great as well last night. Stayed with the team even when they were losing 2-0, and at the end when we were kind of feeling the stoppage time was an absolute disgrace, by the way. 3-minute stoppage time. What are they doing? UEFA need to take a serious look at themselves.
So how many subs were there? Villa we
used their 3 breaks.
Yeah.
PSG used a break.
There
was 2 goals. The keeper was time wasting. There was definitely an injury at some point.
Bardell went down.
Yeah. So where we've pulled 3 minutes from, I'm not quite sure. They've got that wrong, UEFA. The Premier League, I don't praise the officiating and stuff too much in the Premier League, but the stoppage time is a bit more real in the Premier League. So I only have 3 minutes. I just think it's laughable.
Do we need a separate official just to keep check of the time?
I mean, we've got everything nowadays,
exactly.
They might as well.
Yeah.
A proper timekeeper.
Yeah.
How? Like, I just don't get it. 3 minutes. I had a feeling as well that it was going to happen. That it was going to be something. It wasn't going to be the 5 or 6 that might galvanise us. I think the minimum that there should ever be in the second half of stoppage time is 4. There should always be at least 4, because every football match there's at least 4 minutes stoppage time.
Well, it always felt it at least be at least 4 when there were the 3 subs. Now it's 5.
Yeah,
really.
Oh, it's so annoying. I mean, I think we'd run out of steam a bit anyway. Although we did have that late volley from Matson. I'm not sure it was 100% going on target, but it was certainly travelling towards the goal. Great work from Matty Cash, who I thought was really good last night as well, up against tough opposition. Bearing in mind he got pulled in the first leg as well at half time. I thought he was brilliant. I thought to a man, Villa were great, to be honest. I've got nothing negative to say about any player. I thought they were all brilliant and really gave it a good go and should be really proud of themselves and prove that they're all capable of playing at this level. And I guess the big thing now is that Villa going out to PSG won't define their season. There's a lot to be proud of there. There's plenty left to play for. And league-wise, we've got the chance of winning a cup, which would be massive and would really, I think
Villa are going to
top off the Emery. We would really top off the Emery era winning FA Cup. But league-wise, we've got to make sure that we do enough so that we can give ourselves a chance of having those nights again next season. Because now we've got the experience of it. Gabby was on the radio last night and he said, I feel spoiled, but I want Champions League every season now. It's amazing. It's incredible for the club. And I agree with him. I know we had the little music debacle last night, but I don't want to be hearing the Europa League music next season. I want to be hearing the Champions League music.
Yeah, and the fact that Villa are in with a really good shout shows obviously how tight the competition is, but also the fact that they've just got onto this perfect run at the perfect time, right? If you were asking me in January where Villa would finish, I'd probably say eighth and ninth maybe, quite subpar. The fact that they're now the best informed team in the league, 4 successive wins for the first time since April 2023, it shows that they are peaking at the right time, and if they can back this up, show the same level of intensity. We'll probably make a few changes for the Newcastle game. That will be a big win. That'll be points stolen against a rival, and you want to be back there. Like, Emery's not here to waste time. He's always said that he's not here for Conference League, for Europa League. He wants to be in the Champions League, and if you are in the Champions League, it does help Villa's transfer recruitment. They can sell probably fewer players. They can probably buy a few more players and keep the squad volume, the number of players in the squad a lot higher. So it'd be great to do that. But if you ask me, I know Champions League's great. I think Villa are going to win the FA Cup, and I think that would be the most magical, glorious moment of Emery's era.
The Champions League run to win the FA Cup and then to finish top 5 again, that's better than last season. And last season was incredible. So, I hope and pray we can do those two things, because I think the club deserve it. I think the manager deserves it. The players, the coaching staff, everyone on the football side. I really think they deserve this, and what a moment that would be to see Villa win the trophy again. Just going to have been alerted to an idiot in the comments here, Swarat, who had a go at me in the YouTube comments the other day for having a betting company as a sponsor. Well, I presumed you watched Aston Villa play with a betting company on their shirt last night. I presume you didn't forfeit watching your team, so I don't know why you're having a pop at me. Also, he said, what was that you said, Dan? Onana will never play as a number 10. That's ludicrous. Yet again, UTV podcast is way ahead of the curve. Did Onana play as a 10 last night? Am I living in a parallel universe? And Onana played as a 6. So I don't know what you're on about. I was correct in what I said. So yeah, we've got an idiot in the comments. I'm not sure what on earth his problem is. Onana didn't play as a number 10, so I was right. So technically I was ahead of the curve. So yeah, nice one. Well done. Anyway, let's move away from that idiot. Right. Anything else you want to cover, Jacob? I think we've probably covered everything in quite a mishmash of a way.
Yeah, it's been a bit mishmash, but I think we're just all very excited, aren't we, about last night, despite ultimately going out. And we've not had much sleep either, but it's been a really good few weeks, hasn't it, covering Villa and following Villa. I think they've been very good. They've been entertaining. Sometimes early in the season, you watch Villa games, and I remember writing that tweet about me rather watching Mrs. Brown's Boys, and that's just not happy anymore. I think Villa just look a really entertaining team, and ultimately, if you're a neutral, you want to see those type of games, don't you? That 15 minutes, tactics went out the window, and it just was played in sheer gut instinct, and that was great. So hopefully we could have more of that against Newcastle, which will be a 5:30, right? That won't be under the lights, or will it? Second half be under the lights?
Maybe they'll be on, but I don't think it'll be dark enough.
Oh, just turn the lights on. I think Villa are a different team when they do that.
Yeah, I think as well. PSG fans were ringing up TalkSport on the way home last night as well, and really praising Villa for saying how proud Villa fans should be, and what an outfit they are, and PSG never felt so, and that they were amazed by the atmosphere and stuff. So I think Villa have showed what they are.
Well, Luis Enrique
to the world last night.
Enrique
I haven't seen what Enrique said in all honesty.
He basically said PSG haven't been shook by a team like that all season, and how well Villa played. He's very magnanimous, isn't he? Luis Enrique, I think he's a really good coach, really good man, and showed how good Villa played. And I got a message about 3:30 in the morning. I was driving back to my girlfriend's in London about 2:30, 3:30, and I got a message from a guy at Villa who said, still thinking about the game, still gutted. And this is going to take a long time to get over. And I'm thinking, considering how hard the objective was to beat PSG, the fact that Villa staff, very high up, are so gutted just shows the level and expectations that Villa have for themselves and that they've set for themselves.
And that would have been do you think, given the fact that it was 5-1 at the time, would that have been the greatest comeback ever if Villa have managed to go through? Would that have been the biggest in the Champions League ever? And there's been a few. Do you think would that have outdone anything else? Do you think?
Maybe
the Liverpool one.
Barcelona, PSG.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I think just the way the tie was, I think it would have outdone it.
I don't know.
First season in the Champions League.
Yeah, I think for Villa fans, and I would definitely agree, but I think on the broader European scale, probably not. But yeah, that was great, wasn't it? And they were shook. PSG was shook.
They were, and that says it all, really, doesn't it? Because they're a phenomenal outfit who may well go on and lift the trophy, and Villa have given them an almighty scare. Really, really brave performance from the boys. So I think there's no negatives there. Everyone is just so proud to be a Villa fan, Jacob and his nan included. Everyone's just proud of the team. Proud of Emery, except for the idiot in the comments who seem to want to be negative. Anyway, right, let's end it. Thanks ever so much to Jacob for joining me. Really, really appreciate it this morning. Thank you to everyone except for that guy in the chat for talking through the game with us as well. You're laughing at?
God, he's really got to you, hasn't he, Dan?
Because he had a go at me in the comments the other day, and what he said is completely false. So
okay.
yeah, so what he said is completely false. So yeah, it's annoyed me. Yeah, if you listened back via audio, if you could subscribe via that method as well, leave a comment, leave a 5-star review, and a comment on Spotify if you can. That would be great. Subscribe with post notifications on if you've gone back and watched on YouTube, and give the video a like, please, if you have enjoyed it. Right. We'll be back with a preview tomorrow, I would expect, for the Newcastle game with David Reid, now lead Sky Sports News anchor at the moment. I saw he was doing Sky Sports News anchoring last night whilst the Villa game was on. So very, very proud of him. Fully deserved. He's worked really, really hard. Deserves to be at that level. So absolutely delighted for him. And yeah, that's that. Jacob, go back and enjoy your day in London. Everyone else, enjoy your Wednesday. I'm going to watch the highlights, the longer highlights back, because I haven't really seen anything. And yeah, check out Jacob's article on The Athletic as well, and do subscribe to them if you can. Have a brilliant day. Up the Villa.